I love Denver. It's a great place.
Why?
Well, it's got a lot of fresh air, and I think if God were going to retire and pick a place to live, he'd probably pick one of those little mountains and build a little cabin and live there and breathe all that fresh air and look at those beautiful vistas. Well, the reason that I became a comic was because, well, it wasn't even my idea. My first husband decided that I should be a comic. And he simply sent me out into the world and said, there you are, you're a comic. So I was 37 years old. Now, most people are kind of folding their tents, getting ready to sit down at 40. Well, they don't do it so much as they used to. But for me, life really began at 40 because that was about 3 years into the business, and by then I knew that I was hooked. I adored it, and I just love it. That was the best idea that first husband ever had, to make me a comic.
That was Fang?
Well, no, Fang is a myth. Fang is not a real person because he's something that I've made up in my mind. In other words, he is the receptacle. He's the receptacle of all the rotten jokes. In other words, Fang is a complete loser. There's nothing good about Fang. He's a drunk, he's lazy, he's stupid, he's inept, he can't do anything, and he never works. And therefore, he's simply a pigeonhole for all those jokes. All my characters are simply pigeonholes for certain kinds of jokes. For instance, he has a skinny sister, and he has a fat mother, and then I have a mother who's gone in the head, Mother Ding-a-ling, and of course, there's lots of kids. They never have any particular character. They're just kids. They're nebulous, so that they can be any age that I want them to be. At first, I had absolutely nothing. I had no press agent, no manager, no agent, no writers. I had just me and my little dumb act. And, well, it's like the Wright brothers. You know, they only went a few feet in that first airplane. I had a little 15-minute thing that I did, and now it's expanded to where it's a whole show.
Do you remember the first joke that you ever wrote? First joke?
I remember a terrible joke that I'm so ashamed of. And I didn't even write it. It just got into the act somehow. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. I was talking to an imaginary group of gangsters and I'm the head gun mal. I'm the head of the gang. And I'm telling them with a cigarette dangling out of my mouth and a tam off to one side and a tight belt. I'm tough, you know. And I'm telling the guys, we're going to heist an underwear plant tonight, and I don't want no slips. Is that the lowest?
And now, all you beautiful people, here she is, the Anne Margaret of the Geritol set. That girl who, in the high school production of Cinderella, played both ugly sisters. That lovable dummy who says,
inflation has hit everything but my chest.
that silly broad who accepts obscene phone calls. Collect. Phyllis Diller.
Thank you very much. I'm so delighted you had the nerve to fall into this joint.
Especially tonight because, you know, we're making something for home box office so people can sit at home and drink their beer and have a couple of laughs. Oh, well, I'm so glad to be here, too, you know. I had no place else to go. Why not? Well, you know, I have bad news about Jimmy Carter. 3 of his front teeth died of exposure. His motto is evidently walk softly and carry a big toothbrush. He says he's a man of the soil. Well, he'll find plenty of dirt in Washington. I love that Elizabeth Ray scandal. That's my kind of jazz. It's, you know, like maids come to the house and they say, well, no windows, no floors. She said, no typing. She may not have much upstairs. Oh, jeez. She may not have much upstairs, but by golly, she's got a mezzanine you'll never forget. And her basement is no bargain. But let's face it, she got out of it just exactly what she wanted. She's got her own television show coming up, a series called Balling for Dollars. I have one coming up, too, my own cooking series. It'll be called Mary Heartburn, Mary Heartburn. I knew I was putting too much cognac in my salad when it caught on fire. Well, what do you think? You think I'm overdressed? This is my slip. No, I'm going to tell you the truth about what I'm wearing. I used to work as a lampshade in a whorehouse. I couldn't get one of the good jobs. And that's another thing. I've been robbed 4 times. I can't get raped. I am the only woman in America who can walk through Central Park at night and reduce the crime rate. There was a woman who kept yelling I was raped by an idiot. And they said, well, how do you know he was an idiot? She said, I had to help him. You know, I never wear feathers. I'll tell you why. Would you wear feathers with legs like mine? However, there's one man in this world that is absolutely crazy about my legs, Colonel Sanders. In fact, he is bringing out a special package of chicken in my honor. It'll have no breasts. You know, there's nothing under my brow but prickly heat. I wear so damn much foam rubber, no matter which way I fall, I leave skid marks. When they fit me for a bra, they use a level. I could wear a C cup if I knelt in it. A friend told me I ought to stuff my brow with Kleenex. I wish the hell she would have told me to take them out of the box. For 2 weeks, I had square boobs. I didn't give milk, I gave lint. And God knows I'm doing everything I can. I work out with dumbbells every day of my life. I hit myself on the chest hoping it'll swell. And every time they operate on Liz Taylor, by God, I'm right outside the door. I say, I'll take anything. Because, you know, with modern medical science, they can do the most remarkable things. Did you know that you can live to be 200 years old if you want to? Of course, I don't want to. Oh, you kidding. My whole life has been like the 6th day of a 5-day deodorant pad. But if you really want to hang around, they can do it now. They just take a heart, a liver, a lung, a kidney. Listen, from now on, to your doctor, you are nothing but giblets. I sure as hell hate to fall asleep in the waiting room. Face it, they need parts. Supposing the doctor has a rich patient who's waiting for a kidney and you're asleep, zippity-doo-dah. You'll wonder why you're wee-weeing less and enjoying it more. course, it's just a funny damn thing that modern medical science never comes up with anything to help me. Now, I thought I found something on my own. I found a money-back guarantee on a beauty cream, rushed down to the store, they took one look at me, paid me in advance. So then I bought one of those girdles with the magic fingers. Wouldn't you know the one I got had arthritis? Then I tried out that new baking soda deodorant. It only works if you're sitting in the refrigerator. So then I went into the dress department. I told the lady I was a medium. Well, hell, she wanted me to contact her dead Uncle Fred. So then she absolutely insisted that I try on this certain dress. She said, "Madam, this dress is so sexy, it'll give your husband ideas." I said, "Why? Does a brain come with it?" So then I went over to the perfume counter and talked to the lady with the blue hair. My God, her circulation is worse than mine. And I told her I wanted to buy something sexy to catch a man. You ready? Sold me 20 feet of rope and a gun. So then I went at the lingerie department. The lady in there said, "Sir." I said, "I'd like to see something in a bra." She said, "I bet you would." Oh, God, you've heard of Twiggy. Take a look at the trunk. You know what she's got printed on her chest in case of rape? This side up. I am built so damn pitiful. One night I wore a low-cut gown to a party. The cheese dip turned bad. At this very moment, I am being sued by a peeping Tom for eye pollution. You've heard of strapless bras? Get ready. Mine are cupless. Sometimes I just wear my garter belt high. By golly, that'll put a snap in your step. There's only one day in the whole damn year when my figure pays off, and that day is Halloween. I always take first prize. I did it again this year. Hands down, I went practically nude. I wore nothing but a white fur hat, white fur boots. I went as a Q-tip. And guess what? There was a guy at the party that got absolutely turned on by my figure. Of course, he was a pipe fitter. One day I simply sat myself down and I tried to figure out what the hell it is I've done wrong. And I think I know. I have worn so damn much foam rubber for so damn long. I think I erased them. And you know, it's a shame because I wanted to be one of those cutie pies that jumps out of a cake at stag parties. Next month, I'm booked for a luau. I'm coming out of a pig. And everybody says, "But you have inner beauty." Who the hell needs inner beauty? With my luck, would you know I'd be born wrong side out? It's a terrible thing to get on the bus and watch the driver move to the rear. My own Ouija board told me to go to hell. I wanted to be a cover girl. You'll find me on the inside of the back page, just above the hemorrhoid ad. And now the most horrible thing of all is happening to me. It's called old age. Hell, I didn't even see it coming. Hit me from the rear. I woke up one morning, it's over. Everything is gone. The hair on the top of my head is so thin, the part is on the roof of my mouth. Just got my armpits dry, now my elbows leak. My G-string is clear down to D-flat. And you know, as you get older, you get so damn dry and brittle, I may not pass on at all. I may just flake away. When you put your moisturizer cream on, your skin shouldn't go... Everything is simply shot. You've heard of water on the knee? Get ready. I have gas. If I bent my knees, I could empty the joint. And that's not all. I'm nothing but spare parts anymore. In the morning, I don't get dressed, I get assembled. If I didn't have my contact lenses in, I wouldn't know where I was. Hell, I could be playing the men's room. One night they let me. I didn't know the difference. The sound was good and it was cool. Do you know how I know that? One day by mistake I got into a men's room and there wasn't anybody in there, so I didn't know what it was. How the hell would I know? I thought they were goat feeders. So, what the hell? I hung around and waited for the goats. Nothing, so then I decided maybe they were religious crypts. But I couldn't figure out why they were sacrificing yellow ice. But I played it safe. I made a couple of novenas, read the walls, and got the hell out. Of course, you don't have to read the men's room walls anymore. If you want to see something really dirty, go to a movie. Oh my, they are so filthy. I never believed such a... We went to a drive-in one night. The car had to be over 21. Are you aware that we are living in the midst of the world's greatest sexual revolution? And what do you want to bet? I end up on the losing side. Fang and I went to a wife-swapping party. He traded me for 3 gum wrappers and a baseball card. They're even teaching sex in the schools to little kids. Do you believe all this? The current definition of a virgin, that's an ugly 3rd grader. Of course, when I was a little kid, it was dull. It would have been dull for me anyway. You should have seen me. You talk about ugly. I don't know how to tell you about ugly. Oh, my God. I got home movies of my folks leaving the hospital with sacks over their heads. When I was born, I was so damn ugly, the doctor slapped my mother. My father asked the doctor, is it a boy or a girl? He said, no. He said it was the first full-term miscarriage he'd ever witnessed. I was 30 years old. My mother was still trying to get an abortion. They had to hang a pork chop around my neck to make the dog play with me. I was singing in the bathtub. My own rubber duck bit me. I couldn't get a date even when I asked. I invited a boy to the senior prom. He didn't go with me. Gave me a number to call. You ready? Dial a prayer. The only dates I ever had were with Catholic boys during Lent. And you know, when they play spin the bottle, if they don't want to kiss you, they have to give you a quarter. Well, hell, by the time I was 12 years old, I owned my own home. And I'll tell you what made it really miserable. I had this absolutely gorgeous sister, and she had one of those sexy walks that says, to whom it may concern. Well, hell, it concerned everybody. She had a revolving door in her bedroom. Think about it. Wore practically no clothes. Once a week, she did her laundry in the blender. One morning, her car was dead. She sat on the engine. It started. She went to a church bingo party and won 2 priests. Got her mink coat on the lay-a-day plan. She's been in more motel rooms than the Gideon Bible. She told me she wanted a white wedding. I told her she better pray for snow. She was the original meter maid. All you had to do was meet her. You got her made. Took a driving instructor 2 days to teach her how to sit up in a car. To this day, she thinks the steering wheel is a clothing rack. She She broke her ankle in a glove compartment. The only time a boy ever asked me to get into the back seat was to fix the damn speaker. And she was crazy about Cub Scouts, but by God, she had to give them up. She was up to 2 packs a day. And everybody was always bugging me about my beautiful sister. They said, well, you certainly can't hold a candle to your sister. So one day I did. She was burnt up. But I'm going to catch up with her. God knows I am doing everything I can, excepting I am giving up the beauty parlor, and I'll tell you why. When I go to the beauty parlor, it makes about as much sense as an ashtray on a motorcycle. I was there today for 5 hours, and that was just for the estimate. And that man had the gall to tell me that my hair does not respond to gravity. Well, I got news, neither does he. I never saw anything so light on its feet. His wrists are so limp, his self-winding watch stopped 3 years ago. He's weird as hell. He's the father of 4 and the mother of 3. And his roommate is even weirder. He sells toilet paper on Fire Island. He's known as Mary Queen of Scots. One day I confronted him. I said, I am looking for a hairstyle that will simply drive men wild. He said, so am I. You show me a gay weaver and I'll show you a fruit of the loom. You know, they're calling all of this progress, but I am calling it scary. We are going too fast. A couple of months ago, I was invited to a homosexual wedding. For real. Honest to God, I went. I was there. Saw the whole damn thing. What do you think of that? Jesus. I'll tell you what upset me. I caught the jockstrap. But what the hell, I had it bronzed. I serve onion dip in it. But I will never give up. I'm in my 14th year of a 10-day beauty plan. Listen, when I go to bed at night, I got so much cream on my body, I wear snow chains to hold up my gown. One night I asked Fang to kiss me goodnight. He got up and put on his work clothes. Of course, he's got to be the least sexy man I ever met. They made a movie out of his sex life. It's called The Sterile Cuckoo. The last time there was a gleam in Fang's eye, there was a short in his electric blanket. When we get in bed together, it's the naked and the dead. He's so damn dumb, he thinks the French Connection is a new position. On our wedding night, he brought a book to bed. I wouldn't mind if he read. He colored. I put on a peekaboo blouse. He peeked and booed. We were in Las Vegas. He sat at the tables all day long. Every time I walked past, he yelled, crap. We stayed at such a cheap motel, they stole towels from us. I called for room service. A guy came up and sang a couple of hymns. They have one of those ooh-ah showers. You spend 20 minutes adjusting it. Somebody flushes the John. Ooh-ah, oh, oh, ah, ah. Of course, he's always been cheap. God knows that's not news. He's still got money the tooth fairy left him. His idea of a deodorant is to scotch tape a pine cone under each armpit. And I'll tell you, when he really looks cheap, holidays, Christmas Eve, he puts the kids to bed, fires one shot, and tells them Santa committed suicide. Thanksgiving, we didn't even have a turkey. We had a meatball with a feather in it. The last time I said, let's eat out, we ate in the garage. And I would think he'd want to take me out. He hates my cooking. He says, a family fed together drops dead together. He wants everything to taste like Mother used to make it. Where the hell can I buy fresh buffalo meat? The only reason she wasn't on Noah's Ark, they couldn't find another animal that looked like her. God, she's old. Her social security number is 2. She sold Bibles when it was a 10-page pamphlet. Great big fat old bat. Someday I'd like to slit her girdle open and watch her spread to death. I don't like her. She hates me. One day I had a nosebleed. She put a tourniquet on my neck. I didn't give her anything at all last Christmas because she didn't use what I gave her the year before that. A cemetery lot. Of course, I'm the first person to admit that my cooking is bad. Hell, when the lumps in the gravy get too big, I just tell them it's stew. Last night for dinner, I fixed something so bad the cat covered it. But he got lucky this morning. I gave him a hot breakfast and set fire to his cornflakes. He was just getting ready to complain about the coffee and got a chunk of it caught in his throat. You know what he calls breakfast? Morning sickness. I really loused up my breakfast this morning. I broke open an egg and fried a pair of pantyhose. But I finally found something he's crazy about for breakfast, but by golly, he doesn't know what it is. It's kitty litter and cream. I only have one recipe that I'm really proud of. My bean soup's the absolute end. After one bowl of my bean soup, by God, you can do a 20-mile hike without moving your legs. But you see, here's the problem with Fang and food. He's a boozer, and boozers don't give a damn about food. His whole family are drunks. What can I tell you? When he and his mother and his brother get together, it's winking, blinking, and stinking. His breath is so bad, the dentist works on him through his ears. And now the most horrible thing that can happen to our house is on its way. His mother is coming to visit. King Kong with an overnight bag. How can I describe her? Jell-O with a belt. When the old bat sits down and takes the whole mess, 5 minutes to settle. When she takes her girdle off, her feet disappear. Putting a girdle on her is like putting a Band-Aid on a guy who had his head cut off. Last time she bought a girdle, the U.S. rubber went up 8 points. You know what it says on her bra? Wide load. We still have a souvenir from her last visit, a Persian throw rug. She sat on the cat. We didn't have a sunken living room till she got there. She spent the day at Disneyland. They thought she was one of the rides. In a bikini, she looks like a bear in a jockstrap. Once a month, they shove her through the Holland Tunnel to clean it. Her idea of a good time is to go downtown and burn out all the escalators. She laid down in our hammock and uprooted 2 trees. If you get an elevator with her, by God, you better be going down. She got a waterbed for Christmas. You know what's in it? Lake Erie. She picks her nose with a shoehorn. She looks like the Goodyear blimp in Heat. In a hula hoop, she looks like the planet Saturn. When she gets in her car, it's such a tight fit she has to cough to blow the horn. She's got stretch marks that glow in the dark. One day a Volkswagen hit her. Hell, they never found it. You know the Richter scale for measuring earthquakes? It's illegal for her to jog in California. Halloween, she threw a sheet over her body and went to a party as Alaska. Her dress size is Junior Missile. Her zipper is a part of Amtrak. She was born on the 8th, 9th, and 10th of June. When she was a kid, her mother used to dress her alike. She was so big she could only play Seek. She's built like... Honest to God, she's built like a truck. She was standing by a parking meter one day. Somebody stole her kneecaps. It's all her own fault. It's the way she eats. Hell, if she can't move it, she eats it. I never saw anybody eat so fast. She's got a racing stripe on her fork. She was eating so fast one night in a Chinese restaurant, her chopsticks caught on fire. I'll never forget that night. She arrived in 2 cabs, left in 3. When we got home, she was still hungry, ate the doormat, thought it was a Triscuit. Listen, when her stomach growls, you better pick up a chair and a whip. She never shuts the refrigerator door. The whole front of her is frostbitten. She eats so much spaghetti and bread when she sweats, she starches her dress. Sarah Lee is mentioned in her will. She takes a no-dose after dinner so she won't miss her midnight snack. She told me she wanted a salad. I poured oil and vinegar on the lawn and told her to graze. She belched in the backyard and killed all the birds. She stepped on a dog's tail. Now we call him Beaver. She goes to group therapy all alone. The doctor told her she had to lose 500 pounds. She sold her piano. Her Avon lady drives a pickup truck. She puts deodorant in 98 places and still stinks. Her feet smell so bad her shoes self-destruct. They named a movie after her toes. It's called The Dirty Dozen. You ought to hear her sing. She hit high C and spayed the dog. She blew her nose downtown. A construction crew broke for lunch. She went to the doctor with a pain under her left breast. Turned out to be a trick knee. She's already picked out her cemetery site, Wyoming. One night we were at a party, somebody said, "Let's chew the fat," and the guy bit her. And I will never forget that party. It was a costume party, and I went topless. My upper plate fell out. Fang got bombed out of his skull. He staggers over to me. He says, "Do lemons fly?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Well, then I just squeezed their canary in my drink." He made such a fool of himself that night, he kept saying, "You certainly aren't the girl I married." He was talking to the guy next door. But there was a girl at the party. Got to tell you about the girl. She had the biggest boobs I've ever seen. I think the word is deformity. She was a hunch front. And she had on a strapless gown. It looked like somebody had closed a drawer and 2 balloons. And I was just hoping that Fang would notice the big cow, and he goes, "Moo." He says, "When I look at that girl, cold chills go up and down my spine." I said, "You idiot. You are standing in the punch bowl." You know, he's so bombed, he doesn't know where he is. He spent one whole night in the front yard trying to kill a garden hose. One morning at 4 a.m., he walked in the front door into the hall closet and said, "Third floor, please." You've seen hangovers, and you've seen bloodshot eyes, but have you ever seen scabs? You talk about a hangover. He's had honorable mention in the obituaries 8 times. This is a man who can kill a 6-pack during an instant replay. One night, smashed, coming home in a cab. He leaned over the compartment, asked the driver if he had room in the front seat for a 6-pack and a pizza. The guy said yes. Fang leaned over and threw up. And remember, I've done everything I know to do. I have threatened this man. One night I told him, if you don't give up this stupid drinking, I'm going to cut you off from all sex altogether. He said, you don't even know where I'm getting it. But you know, I used to envy those girls with the balloons, but I don't anymore because I read an article and I found out what happens to those girls when they get old. Those balloons turn into jugs. And they just dingle-dangle. No more cute balloony bubble up booby booby. Just dingle dangle baloney juggy wuggy. And they get heavy. And the lady's bra strap cuts a terrible rut in her shoulders. One woman's jugs got so heavy her bra straps cut off both arms. She's up here looking at her jugs, her arms are rolling around on the floor. You know damn well if you had a choice you'd keep your arms and drop your jugs. But already they've got an operation for it. It's called a boob bob job. But they don't do what I thought. I thought surely they would take a little tuck. No, they take it off the bottom, and that goes into the knee bank for women with bony knees. Of course, they remove the nipples. Don't worry about it. Oh, right away. It'd be too exciting. Imagine getting on a bus, looking across the way. My God, George. George, I don't believe my eyes. That broad's got nipples on her knees. Hey, George, look at her now. She just crossed her tits. Hey, George, why don't we follow her home and find out what she's got on her elbows? Can you imagine what that woman would do to a shoe salesman? He'd pass out in her lap. Of course, you know, operations are in. I had one of the biggies. When I told Fang I was going to have my face lifted, he said, who the hell would steal it? It's so wonderful. You know, because of being here, it makes me so happy because to get out of my house, you know, I live in the only house in America ever fired on by Welcome Wagon. And it's full of bugs and dirt. I wear flea collars around both ankles. There isn't a person in our family that's got the guts to eat raisin toast. But you understand, it just got ahead of me because in my day there was no pill and the kids just kept piling up with the dirt and the crap and all that stuff. At one time in our playpen there was standing room only. It looked like a bus stop for midgets. Used to get so damp in there we'd get a rainbow above it. Between the kids and the dog, we lived in a swamp. You talk about a dumb dog. Rin tin tin dum dum dum. Nothing but a fur-covered kidney that barks. Now we fed him so much gravy train he toots. Stupidest dog in the world. Have you ever heard of a German shepherd who bites his nails? Barks with a lisp. You say attack, and he has one. He's a nervous wreck. He's so stupid I thought I'd put him out to stud. He's a fag. All he does is piddle. The only way we know we got a robber in the house, squish, 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 squish. You say stick him up, he puts up 2 front paws and 1 hind leg. The only thing smart about him, whenever I say heel, he goes straight over to Fang. And God knows that man's easy to find because he never moves. He hasn't worked a day in his life, ever. People say, does he moonlight? Hell, he doesn't daylight. It's a terrible thing to drive a man to work and get all the way back home and find him hanging on the outside of the car. You talk about lazy. When I give that couch to the Goodwill, by God, he goes with it. Wouldn't want to break up the set. One day I laid down alongside the couch to see what the hell he'd look like standing up. And you know, he's no help. I could use a little help with all those kids, you know. We got far too many kids. Blech. And they're dumb. They took after him. The teacher came to the house to tell us that one of them is flunking algebra. He can't keep the big mouth shut. He says, I don't know how the kid can flunk algebra. We speak it in our home. One day I asked him to fix the mixer. He took it all apart. The parts are laying all over the floor. And this huge cockroach fell out. He says, there's your problem. The engineer died. Now, there's something I haven't told you. We have had many requests, but I'm going to play the piano anyway. I'd like for Peter Daniels, my piano partner, to come out. Peter Daniels is a terrific pianist. Yes. Peter. Peter Daniels. See, I have to blow my nose. This just burns me up. You can't win. I have my nose fixed, now my face won't work. Could I take that one more time? I have my face fixed, now my nose won't work. Doesn't that bore you? You don't dare do it near the mic. It makes a rude sound. I just have such rotten luck. I swear if I went to a swan dinner, I'd get the neck. If I bought a new hat, they'd cancel Easter. One time I was out in the backyard, it was a little high, a couple of martinis. I was singing, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It fell on me. One Christmas, somebody gave me the most gorgeous white mink stole. Within 2 weeks, I had developed black dandruff. But people don't know it that I studied piano with Colonel Sanders, and he's a darling old man, and he's just precious and cute and wonderful, but he plays lousy piano, and I'll tell you why. His fingers keep slipping off the keys because he's a finger-licking son of a bitch. So now we'll get on our little number. I don't dare sit on my beads, you know. Oh, I've reversed the order of what we're going to play, haven't I? They don't care. Peter Daniels. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, I told you about what a mess the house is and what a horrible thing it is to be there, and that's why I love to get out. When I was really stuck there, I had a way of getting out. I belonged to 275 PTAs. Now I do this, and it's lots of fun, but I will never forget the last crisis that I had when I was home. It was the worst, really the worst. The sewer backed up in my basement. Why me? So here it is, the sewer is backed up on my basement, on my laundry, and I was a little behind. About 8 months. And the water hit it and began to swell up and stink. Reminded me a lot of his mother. She has a terrible underarm problem. I'd rather kiss her than wave goodbye. Oh, the woman sweats. She's got a whole pantsuit made of dress shields. So here I am in this terrible mess in the basement, and the plumber wouldn't come. He'd been there before. He hates bugs. He's ticklish. The last time he was there, when they got to his armpits, he went, blah, blah, blah. So as I stood there, hip deep in crap, I decided that something beautiful had to come out of that moment, and it did. Ebb tide. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter Daniels. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Oh, it's so good to be here in this lovely skiing state, which they didn't have skis this year. Too bad. It's too bad. You know, skiing is a very expensive sport. If you don't believe that, why do bank robbers wear ski masks? But it's been such a wonderful thing to be here and to get away from, well, you know, in California, I have such rotten luck there. I just lost my driver's license the last time I was home. I shouldn't have gotten in the car. That was my first error. And you're not... Well, I had a terrible time getting the license in the first place. I got 2 tickets on my written test. So the next time I went for the written test, I thought, why take chances and waste their time and mine? So I copied off a guy next to me. He was taking a civil service exam. But I have a driving tip I must leave with you. Don't ever hit the lead car in a funeral procession. I have never run into that many people in such a bad mood. And when that stiff rolled out, oh, hell, you'd have thought I killed him. And I didn't even create the problem. It was a cheap funeral, and they had only dressed the top half of him. His wife jumped out of the car. She said, "My God, that's all Fred needed. Embalming. Look at that." No wonder they couldn't get the lid shut. It's time to put the lid on our home box office show, and I want to thank you for coming and being a part of it, and I'd like to leave you with a famous quote. There is nothing like going to bed with a good book or a friend who's read one. Good night. I love you.